Hello, friends. Welcome back to Commute Talk. Today, I am going to answer another viewer question, and this time it's from Pranav, who's been learning C and C++ for the last year or so, and he finds himself at kind of a crossroads and doesn't know how to progress because he's trying to write his own little project, trying to do these little programming challenges and stuff, but it just doesn't seem to fit him, and he's asking if he should just accept that working alone is not for him, and maybe he could just go and join an open source project instead. So I think the short answer is definitely go and join an open source project instead. But let me give you the long answer too. So I think there's this strange meme these days that you need to do everything by yourself. Like you need to learn everything by yourself, and you should do like these lead code or hacker rank or whatever programming interview question practice challenges, and you should just be like grinding these forever, and that's how you become good at programming. And I think that's a huge misuse of time. Because yeah, you can get better at programming that way, but you can also get infinitely better in the same amount of time if you go and work on real code with real people. And I know this from personal experience, because when I was 20, 21, something like that, I went and I just started working on the KDE project. I guess it was the first open source project, like the first real open source project where I really tried to apply myself. And this was after, like, I was a C++ beginner at this point, for sure. But I knew my way around the syntax, and I could understand someone else's code if I read it long enough. So I was able to make progress, although I wasn't very fast and I wasn't very good, but it was good enough that I could like start going down this path, I guess, and I think that's probably where you are too, basically. So the thing is that when you're just sitting doing things by yourself, then you are just learning a tiny little thing to solve a tiny little problem that you have at the moment. Or if you're building something by yourself, then you are, it's like you're trying to build a house with a hammer and a screwdriver, because those are the tools that you know so far. if you know what I mean. Like, you have a very limited tool set at this point, and it can be fun to try to build something with very limited tools, but it can also be extremely frustrating. Like, it sounds like you're kind of frustrated with this. And the solution is very easy, because if you go and work on existing code, like, in my opinion, the bigger code, the better, really, to begin with. But smaller projects can be less intimidating, so that's okay too. Just find the thing that speaks to you, I guess. But when you go and work on existing code, then you expose yourself to the combined craftsmanship that has gone into building what's already there, right? So when you're like browsing around some mature code base, say, I'm just going to use KDE as an example. So like, if you're browsing around the KDE code base, then you're constantly being exposed to all kinds of programming patterns and C++ constructs and like different idiosyncrasies and like things that like hundreds or thousands of people have like collaboratively put in there over many years, and it's all there for you for free to just look at it and interact with it and mess with it. And there's so much knowledge and effort condensed into or like packed into a code base like that, that you will absorb subconsciously while you're working on it. And you might not realize that like, oh, this thing here is like a singleton pattern, right? Because it doesn't say that anywhere, but you still recognize, your brain like intuitively recognizes the pattern and it internalizes it, and then when you see it again, then you're like, oh, like it works just like this other thing over here. And I really think that's a great way to absorb patterns. Certainly, you need to absorb a few patterns that way before you can sort of understand patterns from description later. And yeah, just, I don't know. It's just, I really, 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 really feel that working on existing code is the way to go. And working with existing real people as well. Because like these programming challenges, they can tell you if you did it right or wrong, and you can look at the way other people did it. But it's not the same as like trying to solve a problem or fix something or change something and improve something about some existing code base. Because then you can talk to the person who wrote the existing code, and you can, like, by talking to them and interacting with their code at the same time, then you start to practice the skill of internalizing someone else's understanding of a piece of code, or like learning about some code that you know a little bit about, and someone else talks about it to you. There's something extremely pedagogic about that process. I guess I could just go on and on about this, I guess, but I definitely feel that there's just so much value in this. So I would give you this tip that, let's say, I don't know how much time you have for these things, so let me just say in some time frame, let's say 1 per week, that you would go and just get some code base, like a new project every week, and just build the code, and just try to figure out one of the bugs in that project. So like, just look at the bug list and find some random bug, and then go and try to reproduce the bug and see what you can learn about that bug by reading the code, by messing with it, by debugging, like whatever, and like adding print statements everywhere, and like whatever you got to do. But just screw around with the code base to try to learn more about some bug. And you don't have to solve the bug or fix it or make a fix or whatever, but just see what you can work out about the bug. And then whatever you do find, post it to the bug tracker. Because at the very least, you did some, you found something that no one had looked into or found before, and you just helped that project anyway. And if you get to the point where you can make a fix for it and try to make a pull request or whatever, then that's awesome too. But you don't have to have that as a goal. The goal is more about like exposing yourself to a new code base every week. And if you like one, then you can, of course, stay there for more than a week. But just throw yourself into some existing mature code and interact with it, mess with it. Don't just read it, but like build it and change it. Put print statements everywhere and try to understand what's happening. That will, I promise you, that will teach you a lot more about programming, and it will improve your skills so much more than like screwing around with these little toy problems. Got a little excited there. But this is something that I was doing in KDE when I was young. So I was running around, jumping between the different applications and libraries in KDE. Like 1 week I would work on the console terminal emulator, trying to figure something out there, and then I would go to the Conqueror browser, and then I would go to the desktop applets and the taskbar, and all over the place, really. Always like just trying to expose myself to some new thing, some new program that I didn't know about, and see what I could learn from it and see if I could figure something out. And man, I learned so much from doing that. I barely remember the early years of like trying to learn C++, but I sure remember the interactions with people that I had when I tried to work out what was going on in the Kmail IMAP code and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely recommend going and joining some open source project instead of working on your own. Because if you go and work with others, then when you grow up a little bit and grow a good tool set, then you're going to be able to build castles by yourself, and it's worth it. But you can also do whatever you want, because I'm not the boss of you. So, anyways, I guess those are my thoughts on that. So, thank you for listening, and thanks for hanging out with me on the commute. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.